Why did you become a Christian? I remember like one time when I was like misbehaving, rebelling and stuff. Mom prayed this prayer. She said, if you swallow the devil, you're gonna vomit it, because none of my child's gonna serve the devil. So that's an introduction to why I'm a Christian. My parents are like Christians and stuff. I know like the general thing is like, oh, of course your parents are Christian, that doesn't mean, but like literally I feel like that makes up why I'm a Christian, or like my Christian journey. I was born and raised in church and stuff. Obviously, well, like the first time I seriously gave my life to Christ was probably when I was I 6 or 7? I remember it vividly. That was the first time. But yeah, the regular story, you know, up and down, go to altar call 10 billion times, and then one day, actually for me it wasn't one day, because like you're in a church environment and stuff. I feel like your real commitment to God is an accumulation of things. But like the time shot that I knew that I was serious 100 would have been probably 2017. Yeah, 2017, 2018. And why was because nothing else made sense. For me, I'm Nigerian born, Jamaican grown, Canadian living. I move a lot, and this sounds kind of fun, but like on the flip side, there's not a lot of stability, there's not a lot of consistency in the core grand aspect of my life. And I remember the point when like I really rededicated my life to Christ. Everything was in shambles. I wasn't sure of my life. I wasn't feeling like self-confident. It was just like beer anxiety, beer like breakdown. It was like a really dark moment, like mentally, certainly spiritually, because I wasn't like strong with God then. And I was just like in a dark cloud and stuff. And the trigger was because the main trigger was because the one thing that was the one thing that was constant in my life, that this period was when I was in Jamaica. The one thing that was constant in my life was like not a thing anymore. It didn't seem like it was going to be there. And so like it just shook me to the core. Like I just couldn't function and stuff. And then that's when I realized that the surest thing is God's love and my faith in God, my relationship with God. So I just like rededicated myself to God and asked God to just like grow me throughout the way. So that's what I mean by like everything else didn't make sense. Like, and God was the one, his love, his reminder, his word, you know, is why like I become a Christian. If we're talking in terms of like belief and stuff, I didn't really have like much doubt. I didn't really have much problem with that, because I'm in the church, so they will tell you, they kind of like show you. And I've also had interactions. I've had atheist friends, friends from different religion and stuff, and I always found like flaws or just like inconsistencies with their way of like belief and stuff. And this was the most sure thing, and so that's why I really commit to God. Like I feel like nothing else makes sense. He's the most like constant, he's the most stable thing. And I feel everybody's story is different, and I feel like who God is to you is also like a personal thing, and who God is to me is my world. Basically, he is stability to me. He is Elion, the God who sees. He sees me when other people don't see me. He's the one that understands my pains. He's one that understands my joy. He's the one that understands my desires and stuff when I feel like no one else in this world really gets it. God gets it. He shows me that he gets it, and he encourages me. Like literally yesterday I was like, God, like I'm broke, there's no money, I don't have any money. I was driving my mom's car and I needed gas, and I drive it like kind of like the furthest, so I didn't want to really ask her. I was like, God, somehow please give me money. Next thing I know, 2 p.m. somebody sent me an e-transfer. I don't know how, I don't know why, but like the e-transfer was sent. We thank God, we bless God. That's just like a miracle. I didn't go to church and testify about this, but like those are the little bits of miracle. Then there are the silent ones in your heart and stuff that you keep counting. But yeah, that's why I'm a Christian. Yeah. And I hope you are too, or you become too. And if you're having doubts, yeah, message me, hit me up. How do you manage staying consistent with school and creating content? I am starting my master's soon. I'm thinking of ghosting social media while I am at it. Okay, I love that she said like manage to stay consistent. Yeah. Because it's really about like juggling. So balance is a myth. It's really about juggling, and I really like how clear you are in this question about like starting your masters. So I think like priorities are really key. But in terms of 1, 2, 3 planning, as I said earlier, break down what you need to do, what is required of you. Assess, do like a self-evaluation. What are constraining me, and how can I navigate through that? Then 2, I think, is allocating times. I believe in seasons, and I believe that each season comes to give you lessons and experiences, but like that's kind of in a grand sense. But I feel like there are in like a day, there's certain sections dedicated to certain things. It's really core to you. So for me, mornings, first 30 minutes, first 1 hour, it's with God. Like first, when I was in school, like full-term school, I would be just going through the motions with like school and stuff. What I used to do part-time work, but my work is like remote and stuff, so I would dedicate 1 day to working with it. So that would be Thursday, and then my personal content would be for Saturday. So I think just like compartmentalizing your life to break it down to this is the period when I would do this is core. You now said you wanted to create content. One thing that's been key for me is like getting into that routine. So Saturday was the day that I would create content. I haven't yet perfected this, but one thing I'm working on is batch creating content, and also creating content around my everyday life. So there are a bunch of vlogs that have been posted here that I've really planned. It was just like, even like, I don't know if you guys seen like the birthday vlog where we surprised one of my friends. I remember waking up that day and saying like I wasn't gonna vlog it. If you notice, like the intro wasn't really an intro, we just get into it. I was not going to vlog it. I was in the middle of the birthday, or like when we're about, and everybody's like, Nyanganiyambakam, you're not vlogging, and I was like, oh, okay. And we moved, and then I started vlogging, and it was a vibe. And then that's a content. That's not how like I would continue with every piece of my content, but it is something that pushed me. So you want to like recognize content that will motivate you to keep on going. So start pushing them out. Those ones are the easy ones to make. It's like vlog. It depends on your style of content. If you're doing graphics, it might be like one text, or like multiple text with like movement and things. Those are the extreme one, but the simple one is like one code. So recognize like the best of the best, like the most simple, but not the best, but like good enough, and so you like propel it in that sense, like push it out. But I think like batch creating is key, whether it's your ideas or the content itself. So I didn't have all the content I've posted so far this year. I didn't have them all shooted from January, but I had ideas, like a lot of ideas, and like some things were scripted. So I think like batch creating would be good for you. You can batch for like a month, you can batch for like a week, depending on how you want to do. And then batch create, batch edit, like editing in one go, set 1 days for it, do your thing, and schedule. Instagram has a new feature for content creators to schedule their posts, and that's about to be my bestie. So yeah, that's what I feel you can. And then surround yourself with people that will push you to continue. Yeah, like I remember for the first 2 months of this year, every time I'd post, I'd share on WhatsApp and stuff. My friends would send me supportive emojis and stuff, and that used to just like make my heart melt. So engage with people, whether it's people that you know or just like people online, just watching their content, watching them do their thing will now pump me. Yeah, so listen to people that like inspire you or would push you to do that. Next question, kind of connected to this, is how do you balance your social life with school? Ooh, again, balance is a matter. I think what matters is priority, and then like how you define social life, to be honest. So I feel like sometimes I complain about like being lonely and nobody understands me, and like if you watch my Instagram I feel like you wouldn't get it because I'm in different environments and stuff. But I think if you say to balance your social life, it's just like keeping up with the stuff. I feel last question, how was growing up in deeper life home like? So I'd first like to say to this person, if you would just like to expound on your question, like I know where I feel like I know where this is going, but like it's kind of vague. How was it growing up in a deeper life home? I can just say fine. So for those who don't know, my church is the Deeper Christian Life Ministry. Yeah, it's a church, Bible believing church. Yeah, Deeper Life Bible Church is also it. It has distinct way of, one second guys, as you can see I'm in the parking lot. Oh, I think someone's trying to find their car. Okay, they found it. Great. So it has a very distinct way of operating. The most popular, like controversial ones, which I feel like it's truly not that deep on both ends, the people that want to do it and people that don't want to do it. It's like, the females wear skirts and stuff. They're really dedicated to prayers and stuff. There's not that much emphasis, there's no emphasis on like jewelry and things and stuff, but so that's kind of what surrounds that faith or like lifestyle. But what this person is talking to specifically is like growing up in a deeper life home. Parents can be more strict than they need to be. They can be more distant than they need to be, or like they create an environment of like distance, which can project a lot of pain and hurt on the children. I'm talking as a person that went through a bit of this, and also as a friend to a lot of people that are going through this. So there is like generation gap, but then there's like just concept gap or like values gap, and then there's a lot of just like conflict and stuff. So you have people like going head to head with their parents. I've done that, like the whole shebang. It's a mess. And then you have people that don't go head to head, but in their heart they really dislike their parents, or like they just dislike the church to a point where like people like dislike God for that. I think that's like really, really bad, and I don't really know how to curb it. It's not the values of the church, it's not the values of the founder, but somehow the parents have like taken extreme passion or extreme exercise to things and taken it to the extreme end. For me, how growing up in that, I didn't have any problem until like I was 7 and stuff, when I started to socialize in the general world more, and I realized there were things that I wanted and my parents like would like force me not to want and stuff. That was still chill. I'll just be like, okay, whatever, leave it. It wasn't that deep. But when I moved to Jamaica, and I was an outcast for a lot of reasons. One being African, but also like an appearance was really one major part of it and stuff. And just like I was in my mind, I wanted to try things and experience them, whether good or bad. Like I just wanted to experience them. It wasn't even like, oh, my friends were pressuring me, which like my parents used to believe that my friends were pressuring me. Like it was so funny. It was so funny because of how we just related. We would never pressure ourselves like that, or at least not the way my parents thought, at least. But yeah, so there's not that conflict and that willingness to like control the life of an individual. They want you to live a specific way, and if you're going out of it, they're like a disdain to them and whatnot. As bad as it may seem, it all comes from a place of love, and it's important to remember that. Yeah, for me, what helped me was like when I fully dedicated my life to God, I had to pray for those like issues of conflict. Like, guys, I mean, to be honest, like I don't feel like I was bad, like especially in the sense of like in the community that I grew up in and stuff. I wasn't like the worst possible child, to be honest. I could have been worse, but for my parents, anything that just like deviated way too far, it was like I was the worst thing on earth, and they would just say mean things that hurt, everything. It was a year my mom would beat me like every month of the year. My dad doesn't beat that much. He cuts with words. If that man talks, like it's like a dagger to your soul, like actual bad. Like no matter how you want to like frame your mind, I used to be like, oh no, I'm just gonna block this. It would still hurt. What helped? I became serious with God. I asked God for help, heal my family, heal me, change me, whatnot. You know, God still says, you know, obey your parents, whatever, whatnot. I was like, God, help me to be obedient and things. Prayer helped because it not only changed my heart, it also changed my parents' heart. And another thing that helped was like talking through things, explaining my point of view and things. I would say that to you, but like sometimes they might not listen, so you have to realize like where your energy, where you want to put your energy. So there's some things that I still don't agree with, but I've just compartmentalized that I'm going to deal with it for this season, that I live with them or whatever. And when I live my life, when I reach that point, I'm going to live it the way I believe. And this is not because of self, this is like stuff that I believe, like through the word and stuff, and through like Holy Spirit's leading, that might still differ from theirs, because again, generation, cultural value gap is there. So recognize it. When you really recognize it, you can position your mind in a way that whatever they say or do doesn't affect you, doesn't affect your relationship with God, doesn't affect your relationship with other people or yourself. I'm not just saying this because of me. I was talking to a friend recently, same situation kind of, and she was saying it. She was like, yeah, like I'm pretty disappointed in my parents, but like I'm not like, I don't hate them or I don't have any bad ill feeling towards them, because I realized that they can do what they want to do and I can do what they want to do. But another thing I feel like is very key is that how sometimes with like us younger individuals, how your parents show love is different from how you want them to show love to you. And when there's that disconnect, you keep comparing your parents to other people or your situation to other people, and that is not even healthy in itself. So we have to come out of that. You can't expect your parents to show love in a certain way just because. I think a very good example is like hugging. Like where I'm in Canada, hugging is like the most like, you know, mushy thing. It's very shows love. For some of my parents over the years now yes, I can hug them and they know that it's love and heart and stuff, but it wasn't really a thing. Like to hug, like what killer, what for what? Like what does that mean even? Not that they would stop me from hugging them, but like it just didn't mean anything to them. So imagine me expecting love for my parents or care for my parents through hugging. They don't understand hugging as anything. What they understand as love is like, oh no, to warn me, and it might sound loud, but they're warning me it's true love. So if I look in that thing, I would think they don't love me because they're not hugging me, so obviously they don't love me. Instead, all they do is hate me. So it's about perspective really. And then tell the Holy Spirit, ask the Holy Spirit to really help you through it and stuff. And I think also search the word for yourself. So a lot of us grew up in church and stuff, and we're pumped in with the word and we feel like we know everything. But as I just explained my faith journey, you know, I wasn't really saved. So we have to work through your salvation. Know how God speaks to you so that you yourself will know when you're sinning and when you're not. There's sometimes when my parents, even right now as I am, like I feel like, oh, I'm good with God and stuff, and they kind of trust me to an extent. They'll say things like to try to demean my fear of my relationship with God, and it doesn't hurt me because I know my standing with God. Like I know one time, like my dad would be like, oh, you're not praying like this, like that, or whatever. And I was like, what the heck? Like what? I know I pray. I know how many times I dedicate to prayer. I know how deep I pray and stuff. I know my prayer life. You don't see me 24/7. You don't know my prayer life and stuff. And so I, instead of it to be like, oh my God, they hate me, they're not even pushing me, going me my fate, I just block that off, man. I'm just like, Holy Spirit, you know, I know, you know. So that's all I have to deal with. So when you put God as spirit, remember, my parents taught me something when I was young. It's very important. They said that God loves you more than us. And since that time, this is God, and then this is my parents, and that's everybody else. Like literally, like growing up, right? I knew that God was a different entity for my parents, and I knew that if my parents could fall, yeah, my dad used to say, like my parents used to say that, you know, they can fail me, but God will never fail me, and that thing stuck to my head. So even when they say stuff that hurt or whatever, I'd be like, well, that's them failing me, but God will never fail me. So that's it. And then right now I'm just like connecting with other faith young people in the church and stuff, trying to build a community. It's really core to my belief, because no matter how much things like I like attack, I come in different, no matter the differences that comes along with me and them, the way I still worship, the way I believe and stuff is still different from the way other people or even other Christians themselves relate. So I think one thing that helps me stay grounded is being in a community with people of the same faith and church, or even just understanding. Even if it's not the same church, they have the same understanding and like depth of word and spirit. That really helps me. So yeah, commitment with God, prayer, communication, reframing what you think love is or how you think your parents should treat you, and just like really block it. It's for a time. You're gonna live your life, but don't live it with like bad things as your ideals. That's why I say know God for yourself, pray, and God will see you through whatever challenges. I hope that helped, because I feel like if it was more specific, I could have been more direct, but I hope what I said helped. I've reached the end of my Q&A. At first I thought like these were short, but the answers I gave and stuff kind of made this long. But yeah, if you have any more questions, leave them in the comments below, or just send it to my DMs. If you want me to do another of this, also tell me. But until next time, never stop curating your best life. Bye.